joining us. We are with Diana Troyk at Desert Warriors in Scottsdale, Arizona today. She has a most fabulous place doing mounted archery. And Diana, so good to meet you, and thank you for the invitation to be here with us.
You're welcome.
Diana was just telling me the most fabulous story about meeting Trigger. So all of you who are about my age are going to know who Roy Rogers and Dale Evans is and who Trigger is, of course. So, Diana, how did it happen that you got to ride Trigger?
Well, my family and I were in California. That's where I'm from. And we were visiting friends, and we decided to take a walk around their place because it was gorgeous subdivision and horses and dogs and stuff like that. So we started walking, and they said, "Do you know Roy Rogers and Dale Evans?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, you know, they live 3 houses down from us. Would you like to meet them? Because I see they're out front with Trigger." And I was like, "Yes." And so we went over there and introduced us. And of course, I'm looking at Trigger and drooling. And he said, "Do you know how to ride?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Can you ride well?" And my dad said, "She can ride really well. She's been riding since she was 3. And he says, "Well, fine. If you can ride that good, jump on." And so he put me up on Trigger, and he says, "Just ride him down to the block and back. He'll be fine." And I did, and it was awesome. But in those days, we didn't have cameras, so no pictures.
No proof of you riding Trigger,
Yeah.
but you know it happened. You'll never forget that.
Yeah, years later, I was a flight attendant for United. I flew into Bakersfield, a flight, and Dale was on the flight. And I talked to her for a little bit, and I said, "I don't know if you would ever remember, but a long time ago, I got to ride Trigger."
He was in how old?
I think I was 10. And I was in the front yard. You were in the front yard, and my neighbors came and knew you and introduced you. And he said, "Did I ride?" And I said, "Yes." And I rode him to the block and back. "Oh, you that little blonde girl." So she remembered me. That was kind of cool.
That's amazing, really. I mean, do you know how many millions of kids would have loved to have that opportunity just to even see him, much less get to ride Trigger?
Yeah.
Was he sweet?
Oh, he was very sweet. Just beautifully behaved well. Just very light rein. Hardly did anything. Didn't even have feet in the stirrups, so too tiny.
Oh, that is such a wonderful story.
Yeah.
So started your journey with horses, like all your life. You've been into horses and passionate and...
Yeah, my babysitter when I was 2 was my grandfather's draft horse, and he'd put me up on it and said, "Hold on to the mane. If you have to go potty, let us know." And that was it. And the next year I got the reins. And then at 10 I got my own first horse. I rode all the time before that. And I had her for 25 years. And she was High Point Trophy for barrel racing, and we did racing. 3/4 mile track, we had races and parades.
Wow.
Then I got married while I was a flight attendant, and always told my husband I was going to get another horse. And he said, "Not now," but when my kids were 10, I got my second horse, Magic. That was my first archery horse. And he was 17 when I lost him. And now I have Outlaw, which I've had 17 years. And he's done horse archery longer than any horse in the U.S. consistently.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a record.
Yeah.
So how did you get into mounted archery? What inspired you to begin with? I mean, that's kind of an unusual sport to get into.
It was back then. I was 51, and a girl from Japan came to our stable in Wisconsin and wanted to rent a horse to practice her yabusambi, which is the Japanese style with a 7-foot yumi bow. Very beautiful. And she did so I let her use my horse while I'm golfing, and then she went and did a demonstration at the first clinic ever held in the U.S. in Fort Dodge, Iowa by Lucas Novotny and Dana Hotko, and came back and said, "They're going to have a second clinic next year. Your horse is good. You ought to go try." So I thought, ooh, something fun and new. So I bought a bow, wrong kind, taught myself the wrong way, but I practiced for a year and then went to the clinic, and I was hooked immediately. So they had the History Channel there filming The Secrets of Genghis Khan, and it was a 2-hour movie, but they needed filler. So we got to dress up as Mongols and shoot arrows in the air, and then Lucas and Dana and another woman and I could ride our horses without reins. So we were able to be filmed 2 hours after each clinic day, running and shooting and turning and, doing all that stuff, dressed as Mongols. So in the movie, I know where I am because I have a buckskin and the others have white horses. But you couldn't tell that it was a girl or me or anything.
Did you get your Screen Actor Guild card?
No.
No, you could have had royalties off of that.
No, just little bits and pieces. You didn't actually really know who I was. It was blurry, fast, fuzzy. That was...
Yeah, but still, you're in the movie.
Yeah, so I got into it, and I took a clinic in Libby, Montana with Pat Stoddard, and then I went to Home Newman's ranch. And at that time, it was a couple of years after we had moved here in Arizona, and I had been practicing all the time because I just loved it. And they started in 2007, Mounted Archery of the Americas. And so I joined right away. And then that was a year after that, I think I went to the clinic in Montana. Montana and then Oregon. And Home had started doing horse archery just after me, but he had all the land and a course set up. And so I would go up there once in a while and help him train and teach people. And he came down here once in my first clinic to help people.
Well, you have to be able to ride really well. Yeah. And you have to have a horse that just rides off your seat because you don't have reins.
Right.
Your hands are on the bow and arrow.
Right. It's pretty much a straight track. Today we have a hunt course, so we still have part of it roped off, not all of it. It's still your legs. But yes, you have to be able to ride. If you go overseas, you have to be able to ride any horse, any saddle, and be confident in it.
So when you're doing an international competition, you're getting a horse. Because obviously you're not taking your horse to Japan or Mongolia.
Yeah.
You competed in Mongolia as well.
Yeah. I did 7 years in Korea. The first competition ever was the World in Korea. I did 7 years there. I did Mongolia, Poland, Japan, Brazil, Hungary. So it was a lot of fun for me back then. You could just go when you wanted to. Today, you pretty much have to have a team and play out for it.
So the association and the sport is developing and it's becoming a little bit more structured and formal. And then you could just go independently.
Right.
Just go and ride a new horse that you've never ridden before.
Well, you're pretty sure that they're trained for horse archery, except for in Hungary was an exception. We got some battle horses because they ran out and they weren't the best horses, but we still have fun, had enjoyed it.
Made it work.
Made it work.
And made it fun.
Always fun. It's the most fun sport ever. Yeah. Well, the way we teach is going back to the Mongols in war. It's called instinctual speed shooting, and it's with a thumb release. So unlike traditional today with 3 fingers, this is a horse bow, and horse bows, we all have to have a horse bow, and so you can't have a cutout shelf like a recurve. You have to have a little lip here that has to be half the size of your arrow. So what you do, if you're right-handed, and also if you're using the thumb release, you do not put it through the bow, which is a 3-finger, it has to be on the opposite side. We put it the same side, and then we grab the string with our thumb and grab it. So it's a thumb release. So when you pull back, you just release it like this. So it's here and pull. And you can use a back quiver, which I use, a hip quiver or cross quiver. But when you grab the arrow, it comes down, knocks, locks, and it can show you in a little bit the lock. And that's why they used it in war, because there's a lock on it, and the arrow does not move from the bow at all. You can be upside down, backwards, whatever, and it stays on the bow. So, and instinctual speed shooting, you have 3 feathers, 2 feathers, 4, it doesn't matter. You don't use a cock feather, which is usually flat, and that one sticks out, so you know the flat parts next to you. We never see them. So it doesn't matter. You just come down. That's why we wear a glove, because if the feather cuts you, the glove stops from being cut. But that's from war. We did that. And my first competition in Korea, they told us, I was the only U.S. person, so I wore red, white, and blue. And they said, if you ever come back, we want everybody in the costume of your country's heritage of horse archery. And, there were Iranians there and Mongols there and Japan, and their costumes were beautiful. So I thought the next year, if I go, what would I wear? I'm blonde, and our culture is pretty much the Native Americans. So I did a little bit of history, and our most revered horse warriors were the Comanche. They were the lords of the plains and the horse warriors. And So I went to them and started researching, and our most revered Comanche chief is Quanah Parker. His mother was a captured blue-eyed white woman that never wanted to go back to the white man. She married a chief, had her 2 sons, and was always wanted to be there. So when I did a whole outfit, I did my own beading work, red, white, and blue with US and on the step, and I made the whole thing out of leather. I was representing Cynthia Parker, not trying to be a Native American, but honoring them by being her, a white, blue-eyed white woman. So that's who I went and represented. And they love the Indian thing. They just thought it was great. So I wore that for about 7 years and then retired it. So that's pretty much, as far as I know, our history were the Comanche. They developed a war wheel where they came down on they did 2 wheels together, like this, like that, and came down on a wagon train or something. It was like a Gatling gun. They just couldn't do anything. It was the repeating rifle that won the war for the white man. So that's how we got into it. But the costumes today are beautiful. Now we don't always just do our national costumes. We do themes. In Oregon, they had dragon riders. So we dressed up, painted our horses like dragons. I put spikes in my horse's tail, and we would ride as dragon warriors. And here we did Halloween one time. It was fabulous with the costumes, because they don't do just themselves. They do their horses too, their partners, and different themes sometimes. We had red, white, and blue, patriotic. In America, the last 2 big nationals we've had here. So everything was red, white, and blue.
And you hold the nationals and an international right here at Desert Warriors in Scottsdale.
I held the international in 2010. It was an international, and I've held 7 other national competitions here, not just but one of the nationals in the U.S. And then we've had 3 mini competitions with about 20 riders. And this last one we had 6 internationals, so kind of could have been 6, or been an international competition, but it was just announced as a national. Couldn't tell you people-wise, but I think MA3 has close to 50 chapters across the U.S. When I started and was president, we had 5. There were 3 of us, or 2 of us that had a course in the beginning for years, and then some others started popping up. And then Lucas Novotny is the one who trained us all, or me, back in 2002 or 3. And most of the other people have come from him, and Dana Hotko was his partner. So that's who we learned from with the thumb release. And today they do all sorts of they do offside drawing, they do a pinch like this, they do the 3-finger traditional. There's many styles now. Well, whatever region they're in, if they just go to horse archery on the internet, it'll pop up all the different ones in their area, if that's where they're looking, or they can go to the Mounted Archery of the Americas, and then we have a map on there, and it's wherever you live, you press on it, and they'll tell you what clubs are in your area or closest to you. So I'm really pretty much the only one in the Midwest or Southwest. There's one in San Diego that's just starting. He got his track up and going, so he'll probably have a competition in the fall. There's Utah, there's Colorado, and there's other clubs, not necessarily MA3, but there are other clubs out there that are on their own. So if I get people that are interested, they see my website, which is Desert Warriors. And I have people, a lot of men actually from even out of state, that want to just learn speed shooting. So they come to learn it. They don't want to ride a horse. They just want to learn the style, because they learn all different styles of archery, especially if they're a recurve shooter. And we have a apparatus here, we call it the magic machine, after my magic horse, and it's a barrel horse with a saddle that we pull with our UTV. So once you learn the knocking, we use that to teach them how to shoot with speed. And so it's a lot of fun.
To learn?
Not very long. If you're at least coordinated, it's basically the knocking. Once you can get that arrow on and knock it and lock it and then aim, you're good to go. The faster you can knock, the faster you can go. So we start with walking and play some games. When you play games, it gets the adrenaline up. If I have 2 people, I'll say, okay, you get 6 arrows, you shoot that target, 3 targets, and then when you get all those 3 targets, go for the middle one. The first one hits the middle one wins. So you're not trying to get accurate. You're also trying to beat the person next to you. That's the adrenaline. which is what you have when you're out on the horse. So it's good training. Sure. So we have a grip, and you want to grab the grip up the top because you want the leather on here so it doesn't hurt the bow. So if I was using my back quiver, which is this, it'd be on my back like that. So all your nocks at the end of the arrow have a flat spot, and your string has a nock. So when we say nock your arrow, it means bring the two together and make it one. So I would pull it out, I scoop it on, and all I'm doing is rotating my thumb and my hand and grabbing my thumb. So it's kind of like an elephant with an eye. So when I do that, it doesn't fall off the bow. No matter what I do, it stays right there because I pressure this way and pressure this way. So when the lock is on and I grab and turn my wrist against it and remove my thumb here, and then as you come down, you just pull apart. And what you want to do is have everything straight across. If you want to put your arm out and it's up here, you're off. But when you shoot up here, you're really not accurate. So you want to be straight across. So when you come down, it's like the arm is part of the arrow, and you pull it down. Whoops, pull it down like that. And then as you pull back, I just press in because you're not pressing with your hand here. You're lifting your wrists up because that's what the pressure is, and that goes to your target, the V of your hand. So when you pull, the V of your hand goes to the target. So basically, that's it. So then you just grab your next arrow, come down, knock, lock, and shoot.
All while galloping.
All while galloping, like that. So I learned a different way in the beginning, but we've changed it because it's more powerful. So pretty much that's it. You can have all sorts of different types of quivers, like I said. There's 3 or 4 different ways to shoot with your hand. That's how we learned, is the Mongolian style. And then practicing, you just desensitize your horse to the sound of the arrows, to having the arrow hit a target. And once they're used to that, you can do that in a round pen. Then you can get on them and practice at a walk and then a trot. And there are walk, trot, canter clubs that hold it for younger students or anybody that doesn't want to gallop. They just want to do walk, trot. They have those, and they can have competitions too. We don't actually have them here just because there's so many that come. We don't have room or time or days to do it. But as far as coming out the ranch and having a session, once they got the knocking down and they got learned to shoot with speed on the magic machine, they can bring their horse out for a lesson and we'll help desensitize them, or they can do that at home and they can come and start practicing.
Hi, I'm BJ, Di's 16-year partner in crime doing this. We've been friends for over 20 years, and we started this archery about 15 years ago here. We started over in another ranch, but she found this property, and we looked for a very long time, and we found this, and it was just as you see in the distance with all the foliage and the cactus and the trees and everything. That's how this whole place looked because it was virgin land. And she has great vision. We cleared it, and the horses came in first. We did the pasture and our target course. We got that ready, and then the horses ready, and then we went to work. And boy, did she work on me. I mean, she's amazing. She's an amazing woman, and I'm very privileged and honored to be able to work with her all these years. But again, as you're watching her in the background there, a rhythm is going. And when we teach our students, they always want to know, you guys draw so fast. How can I get faster at this? And it's a very simple solution to do that. Sit on your sofa at night while you're watching TV or whatever, and just start drawing from your quiver. And put a blanket on the floor. Probably not a good idea to shoot into the walls. And release those arrows into that blanket. And before you know it, you're going to be doing that without looking at your hands. And that's what the secret is to being a good shot and doing this. And, getting your speed up. Don't look at your fingers. So if you watch us when we're going down the track, You know, your arms are up here, you're firing, your face is always at that target, always at that target. So you don't drop your arm, you don't drop your shoulders, you're right here. So arrow's going in and you're looking into that target all the way through, never lose focus of that. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is speed shooting. And you can do that at home, like I said. And eventually you'll stop looking at your fingers, because the more you look at your hands while you're loading up and you're knocking, the more you look at them, nanosecond goes by. And you only have, on a 90-meter course, you have 14 seconds or less to get down that track to make points. And so it's all about speed and archery. That's what's so wonderful about this sport. It's not subjective. And, you know, it doesn't matter how pretty you are, doesn't matter how the best boots you're wearing or the best. We do have a best costume, though. We do enjoy doing that. We like to vote on that. It's a lot of fun. But the fact of the matter is, it's not about how pretty you are, how handsome you look going down there. And we shoot ourselves, meaning we're not a team with another person or a group of people. Each person, like a golfer, you're going down there and you're shooting for yourself. And the only way to do that and get good at it, like I said, is to practice shooting down. So, you know, into the blanket while you're sitting in your living room. But like I said, 14 seconds is not a lot of time to get down that track. So, and we have people that can do it in 9 seconds. So, I mean, we only give you points from 9 seconds and up. You know, anything below 9 seconds, you don't get points extra for doing that. So 5 is the most that you can get. But it's just amazing to watch some of these kids at 9 seconds go down that track and hit every target. So you know how much practice, how much work they put into that. And it's all about not looking at your hands. So if you watch Di, she's not watching her fingers and her arrows where she's knocking. She's not watching those. That's why she can release it so quickly. But this is hours of time. Start them out depending on how quick they can knock, but it may be like 10 miles an hour. And next thing you know, that is an amazing talent right there, that someone can, you know, put that together. And that's a lot of concentration to do that. But it really helps because, like I said, Di sits in the back and she's educating them on when to make these movements and when to make these shots. But some people pick it up faster than others, you know, and some of us take a little bit longer. So, but it's a thing of beauty to watch. It really, really is. And if it weren't for my dearest best friend, Di, I wouldn't have known about this. I wouldn't have done it. I remember when she presented it to me, I said, "What are we going to do?" And she says, "Well, we're just going to get on the horses. We're just going to go down this track and we're going to shoot at these hay bales." Sure, works for me. I wouldn't be here without. We have a great friendship, and it's her vision, and you know, she's instilled it into me. And we almost kind of read each other's thoughts now, what we're going to do. But I give Di the lion's share of the credit. I mean, she works very, very hard at this. And she loves to please everybody. And she's very generous. And she's very giving. So we work well as a team.